Okay, I do another video here on the current situation here on November the 25th, the day before Thanksgiving. We're looking at situation. First of all, I'd like to make a comment here. I've noticed a few responses to what I'm doing. I'm waiting to get badged on Parler, and I cannot post my links as a comment. So I have to put them somewhere. So I put them as my original comment, and therefore I'm not making other comments. So it'll be easier for you to get to my latest video, which will be the top one when you go to my account. Okay, that's why you click on my Hunt 1954 on Parler to get there. And so just to explain quickly what I'm doing, and then of course you have to click again on the little arrow there on the picture that I have for my cover page to see the video. I hope that's clear. I think some people were confused, but okay. Let's get on to what we have to talk about today. Situation on the challenge to the election, and we're having people. States are certifying the election in Georgia and Michigan. Recount is ongoing in Wisconsin, and I think there's going to be a recount in Georgia here starting also. And then I've heard that Arizona found some more votes for Trump the other day. At least as of the Gateway Pundit, so I'm assuming that's accurate. Something like 6,000 votes gained for Trump. So that would close the gap up quite a bit in Arizona, and that's not been certified yet. State legislatures in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona are going to hold hearings on the election and any potential irregularities, which obviously there were some. So that's something to see what comes out of that. That would certainly be preliminary to any legislative action on this. I'm still skeptical that the legislatures are going to really overturn the popular votes in their states unless substantial evidence of voter fraud is actually made abundantly clear. And remember, we're going to be fighting against the mass media that's arguing in the other direction against all evidence. Or as they like to say, without evidence, they're arguing there's no fraud, when in fact there's plenty of evidence of fraud. So, and that's the other thing that's happening is I understand that Sidney Powell is going to launch her much vaunted lawsuit in, of all places, Georgia, which I'm skeptical that Georgia really is a case of the Dominion effect as much, although I use Dominion there extensively. I really, there's two reasons I think that. First of all, my own look at the raw numbers, and I got a chance to look at even a more raw data set than the one I looked at the other day for my previous video, which I didn't post, and which I didn't find the irregularity. I didn't find it in the raw data either. Now, people can group things together and make certain claims. I understand that, but I was looking more at a more basic thing, just of net negative votes for Trump versus Biden. That seemed very suspicious to me in Pennsylvania. Now, but the thing that probably happened in Georgia is more, as I say, the old-fashioned way of stealing an election. That is to say, people double voting with fake identities for their double vote. People registered at the UPS store or the mailbox, etc. Some of the things, well, they don't exist anymore, but those kind of places. And using their box number as their apartment number and things of that sort. And that can lead to some serious fraud of sorts. And then, of course, we have there's a lot of things they may have done. There's the biggest issue, and the one that is most correctable is the one in the affidavit of the poll worker who swore he saw fake ballots that looked to be machine printed rather than filled in by human beings in certain boxes, and he was able to take notes and number the boxes. And I don't understand why we can't get some action on having those boxes opened and search through them and see how many, if that's true or not. I mean, that could be significant. And that would be another technique that could be used that wouldn't be directly Dominion related. But we'll see what Sidney has on this, because she's the one pursuing the Dominion theory and the vote swapping theory. Now, on my previous video, I posted a link to a much lengthier video by a person who is a computer expert type individual, and he goes into some details about how the fraud and the Dominion thing could have been done. So that's worth looking at also if you have the time. So and this guy does have a PhD, I think, in some sort of information technology or math or something of that sort. So I mean, he seems very credible and much more authoritative than a lot of things I've heard in public. In fact, one of the issues he raised was about the sharpies, is that sharpies have a tendency to not read as well as a ballpoint pen. By deliberately putting out sharpies and no ballpoint pens, they were trying to create glitches. And one of the options when the machine can't read it is to apparently just to push a button, which will put it as an invalid entry, and then hand the ballot to a poll worker. And then his argument was those were votes that were being stolen rather than correctly entered. At least it leaves open that possibility. And that was the sort of thing that might be going on there, whereas most of the time it would read it correctly and there'd be no issue. In those cases where there was a glitch for any reason, well, there you have a chance for a little bit of, and remember, if the total is closed up some from where it was in the last reports, you know, this could become more and more significant. And then the other thing is, I guess, the legal case is in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, and I saw a detailed thing from this RR Law Group YouTube channel last night where he went into the detail of what's going on with this. And it's really kind of bad because essentially this is just an appeal largely of an amendment to the case in the lower court, which was thrown out by a judge with prejudice, meaning you can't refile it there. So, and obviously the Trump case was damaged to some degree because of the fact that the previous law group was apparently subjected to incredible bullying, intimidation, and threats, and actually then decided to pull out of the case, which then left the case a bit in limbo. They had to bring other people in, including Rudy Giuliani, to finish the case, and that might have led to some differences and technical details in the filing, which then gives the judges a chance to be prejudicial against the case. So we'll see what, at any rate, the Democrats had a chance to yesterday and have responded, saying the whole thing is moot, and they have a bunch of arguments. So it'll be interesting to see that today if they make a ruling on that, because that's, and then if they rule adverse to Trump, I guess that's their ticket to the Supreme Court, and we'll have to see what the Supreme Court does. On the issue of the remedy, which we discussed before in the discussion by the lawyer from the RR Law Group the site, I had across an idea of what could be a remedy. One remedy would be to completely throw out all these votes. But another remedy that was suggested is to do a statistical sampling of the challenged votes and to make a determination how many of them were invalid and how many of them were valid. Okay. And then you could simply take that ratio of invalid votes and then, instead of throwing out all the Biden votes, simply throw out proportionally in that sample of all those votes in question, how many were for Biden, how many were for Trump. They were mostly for Biden. So then proportionally remove that many votes from both sides, which would still collapse the difference between Trump and Biden and the overall Pennsylvania total. So that would be a potential remedy that the court could order that would seem reasonable and might give Trump a victory in Pennsylvania if they would do it. But again, I see this incredible inertia on the courts not to actually to change anything here. And I think that's a real obstacle, that and the clock. But I understand today that there's some discussion, there's going to be a hearing in Pennsylvania, and that it's possible that President Trump will go to that hearing along with his lawyers. And they're discussing the voting irregularities in Pennsylvania. So at any rate, that's kind of the state of play. It looks like it is getting a little bit into legislatures. I don't know what they're going to do. On the other hand, the machinery of certification seems to be rolling forward. The recounts at present aren't giving us what we really need because they're just recounting the ballots that were already counted. And what we need is discrimination of invalid votes from valid votes. And that's a difficult thing to do. So anyhow, I guess that's kind of it for today. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be very helpful to get these out to you. And you could, I guess as I say, click on the bell then. get notified, and of course the people that are getting them just off of the Parler or Twitter or whatever, or Facebook, just like and make any comments you want. I'm kind of interested to see what people are saying. And again, I think this struggle will probably continue on to December the 8th. I don't think that the fact that the transition process has started itself really is that meaningful. I think that was just a way to kind of cut down on the pressure to concede by just letting that process continue. But I don't think concession is really appropriate in this case. In my opinion, if the system goes ahead and puts Biden in office, it does it. But I don't think we have to endorse that outcome. Anyway, that's all I have for today, and until next time.